Now I'd like to show you something important.
In the 1950s, America would ascend to the status of a world power. Prosperity came to our nation as never before, and it created the rise of the middle class with a more expendable income for things like automobiles. Moreover, new homes were flowering in suburbs, and new businesses were using trucks to ship their products. This all meant that the time for a modern highway system had arrived.
The idea of an interstate highway system may have been hatched in the 1940s, but it would take the post-war determination of a legendary general to make it into a reality. Dwight D. Eisenhower was elected president in 1952, and his vaunted military career would serve as the inspiration for his drive to get the interstate system built. When Eisenhower was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, he participated in the Transcontinental Motor Convoy in 1919. The Army convoy was to travel the first coast-to-coast road in America, the Lincoln Highway, stretching from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. Things did not go smoothly, to say the least. In Maryland, the convoy had to turn around at a covered bridge. But even worse, the highway had no paving between Illinois and Nevada. The trip cost the Army the loss of 9 vehicles and 21 injured men, and took 62 days to travel 3,200 miles. Much later, when Eisenhower was general in World War II, he saw firsthand the efficiency of Germany's Autobahn, a multi-lane highway that connected the nation and allowed for quick and easy movement of the military. President Eisenhower would take the plans created before his administration and transform them into the interstate highway system that today appropriately bears his name. Construction of the interstate would take decades, but it would connect West Virginia's largest cities where industry flourished, not to mention opening up the Mountain State to the rest of the nation. West Virginia saw another revolution in road building in 1964, when the Appalachian Regional Commission reported that the area was not being served by adequate roads, making economic growth in Appalachia nearly impossible. The interstate highway system connected West Virginia's large cities, but its rural areas needed roads too. Congress authorized the construction of the Appalachian Development Highway System in 1965, designed to supplement the interstate system, connect Appalachia to the national system, and provide access for travel and economic development. By the end of 2008, almost 87% of the miles authorized were complete or under construction, transfusing much needed money to rural areas in need of good roads. In December of 1967, Christmas shoppers and holiday traffic were congested on the Silver Bridge, a unique structure built in 1928 across the wide Ohio River at Point Pleasant. The Silver Bridge was a suspension bridge that used I-bars instead of cables to suspend the structure to its rocking towers. There were other such bridges in the world, but they each employed redundant features that would prevent a collapse of the structure if one of the I-bars failed. Unfortunately, there was no redundancy in the Silver Bridge design. Instead of using I-bars 4 or 5 thick, the suspension was made with single I-bars forming the chain. On December 15th, one of the I-bars would fail due to corrosion that was only 1 centimeter in depth. The tiny fracture would cause the failure of the I-bar chain, and in turn throw off the equilibrium of the remaining structure. The Silver Bridge collapsed into the river in less than 1 minute, taking with it the lives of 46 people. The Silver Bridge disaster remains the worst bridge tragedy in American history, and it was a game changer for bridge design and inspection. The United States government enacted new laws and enforcement nationwide that would meet strict criteria and require bridges to be inspected regularly. There is no compensation for the lives lost or the psychological damage done by the Silver Bridge collapse, but at least the prevention of many such disasters would be the bridge's true silver lining. In 1970, the State Road Commission would further undergo a major name change to the West Virginia Department of Highways. During the early 70s, pressure was also building to upgrade the turnpike. Traffic through the state was increasing, and auto and truck accidents were becoming more and more likely. In late 1976, work began to upgrade the turnpike to national standards, which meant blasting old portions of the road and redirecting creek beds to make room for the additional lanes. By 1983, nearly all of the upgrade was completed, and the decision was made to bypass the Memorial Tunnel. By this time, engineering and earth-moving procedures had advanced significantly, and the decision was made to carve out Flattop Mountain and give all travelers a wide open space in which to drive, rather than build a new tunnel. Interestingly, when the Memorial Tunnel was closed in 1988, various groups began using it to conduct fire ventilation tests. The results of those tests were used in the design of the Big Dig in Boston and the English Channel Tunnel, the Channel, in Europe. Today, it is used for training by the Department of Defense, Center for National Response, and the West Virginia National Guard. In 1977, another of the state's most spectacular projects was completed. Named West Virginia's top transportation infrastructure project of the 20th century, the new River Gorge Bridge became a vital component of West Virginia's highway network and a spectacular attraction for visitors. Transecting the wide canyon of the majestic New River Valley, the new bridge cut down the travel time through the area from almost an hour to under 1 minute. Recognized for its engineering achievement, the bridge soars 876 feet above the scenic New River and was once the longest single-arch steel span in the world and the second highest bridge in the United States, which was to facilitate the full transition to modern highway travel.